January 1943. An 86-year-old man dies alone in room 3327 of the Hotel New Yorker. Almost immediately, federal agents descend on the suite, locking down his belongings and rifling through his personal files. With World War II raging, the U.S. Office of Alien Property was acting on a specific, terrifying rumor that the deceased man's notebooks held the blueprints for a death ray, a particle beam weapon capable of altering the course of the entire war. Today, the internet portrays that man, Nikola Tesla, as a mythological figure. Online forums and viral videos often describe a suppressed deity of science who allegedly discovered how to harvest limitless energy from the vacuum of space, only to be silenced by corporate interests. To understand the real Tesla, we have to look past the online folklore. We need to distinguish between the verifiable physics he successfully engineered and the highly speculative theoretical claims that dominated his later life. In the late 19th century, the global race to electrify cities was dominated by Thomas Edison. However, Edison's direct current power could only travel about a mile before the voltage dropped, requiring a power plant on nearly every city block to function. Tesla solved this bottleneck with the alternating current induction motor. By using a rotating magnetic field to turn the motor, he eliminated the need for mechanical brushes, the sparking metal contacts that made earlier motors expensive and difficult to maintain. This animated comparison shows the advantage of his polyphase system. By using multiple alternating waves, Tesla allowed electricity to be stepped up to massive voltages, sent across hundreds of miles of thin wire, and then safely lowered for household use. This efficiency was proven at the 1893 World's Columbian Exposition. Tesla and George Westinghouse illuminated the fairgrounds with AC power, demonstrating to the global public that the system was both safe and immensely scalable. Within years, AC was powering cities from the turbines at Niagara Falls. This period of physical, tested engineering is what wired the modern world, making Tesla's early legacy a matter of historical fact rather than speculation. By 1901, Tesla's ambition shifted from localized power to a global infrastructure. He wanted to move electrical currents across the entire planet without a single wire. He began construction on the Wardenclyffe Tower on Long Island. The structure was a prototype for transmitting intercontinental wireless signals and energy. Tesla theorized he could use the Earth as a massive conductive medium. A single tower could inject electrical energy into the planet, allowing anyone to draw power. These frequencies would also carry secure communications, mapping a global wireless network decades before the digital age. But planetary engineering required astronomical capital. When investor J.P. Morgan pulled his funding in favor of more predictable ventures, Wardenclyffe was completely abandoned. The giant tower was eventually sold for scrap to pay off Tesla's mounting hotel bills. Without a laboratory or a staff, Tesla spent his final decades isolated in New York hotels. He was effectively cut off from the physical testing required to validate his new ideas. He instead used his annual birthday press conferences to pitch sensational concepts to reporters, claiming he had designed motors that ran on cosmic rays and oscillators capable of leveling the Empire State Building. His final claim was Teleforce, a defensive beam that supposedly used electrostatic repulsion to fire streams of mercury at millions of volts. He advertised it as an impenetrable wall capable of destroying 10,000 airplanes at once. Following the 1943 seizure of his papers, the government asked MIT engineer John G. Trump to evaluate their scientific value. Trump concluded that Tesla's later writings were purely speculative and contained no workable science for realizing his claims. However, the fact that 20 trunks of Tesla's belongings went missing during their transport to Belgrade created a permanent information vacuum. The reality of a broke, aging inventor was replaced by a narrative of a government cover-up. There is a psychological appeal to the Tesla myth. It is more compelling to believe in a magical, suppressed genius than to accept that scientific progress often fails simply because it runs out of capital. But focusing on fictional death rays ignores what Tesla actually achieved. A man who pioneered the AC grid and radio remote control needs no exaggeration to be considered a visionary. Tesla mapped the logistical requirements of the 21st century, while the rest of the world was still adjusting to the 1900s. The invisible, electrified infrastructure powering modern civilization serves as the definitive evidence of his foresight.